Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday night. We've got a great show for you tonight because, okay, I'm going to stop BSing. I'm sorry. I just can't say it. I would try to hype this up, but to be honest with you, John reached out to us and said, hey, we should all pick a topic. And really, that's code for John was being lazy this week and didn't want to. No, I'm kidding. I kid. I do want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It is going to be an interesting night. Just to kind of preview, each of us really did come to the table with some sort of a topic. None of the other ones of us have talked about what that topic is. So hopefully, John doesn't think we're going to talk about Huey Lewis and some software program that starts with an M, because MJ and I.
Well, guys, I'm headed out. That was my show for.
We could start a tribute band to Huey Lewis, and call it Mega Seg in the News.
Yes, how awesome would that be? I mean, just like, and everything was mixed on Macintoshes, would be great.
I'm gonna have to get a straw, Dan, because this cap thing. I do the cap because I spill stuff. So
yeah, you need to get a water bottle, stick your sticker on there, and put the straw.
And then we go. Yeah. So 3 topics. Again, none of us, we don't know what the other 2 are thinking. So there is the small possibility, kind of like winning the lottery, that all of us had the same topic.
I would be surprised if even 2 of us had the same topic.
I'd be surprised if my topic's even relevant to more than 2 people.
So we've got 3 topics. Now, in the chat room, you guys vote on who should go first with their topic. So put that down in the chat room, and we'll see that pop up here in just a minute. Give you guys an update from this past weekend. We got to do our first prom of the season this past weekend. So yay, that was really cool. In Minnesota, the guidelines say that kids need to be in pods. Okay. And they need to be dancing in pods, and they have to have a little square and spaced out and around the dance floor. So it worked for about 3 seconds. There were some groups there. The kids, they brought the kids in, and the oldest. Okay, great. That's going to be. And MJ, it looks like they're voting for you in both ways, huh? Anyway. So the kids came in, and they checked them in, and they had their masks on. They went and sat down. Masks came off, and when they went to dance, some of the kids stayed in their pod area on the floor and danced, and they had their masks on, and then the majority kind of hunkered in the middle. Probably the most interesting or surprising things to me is proms in central Minnesota. Generally, let's say the dance starts at 9, by 10, 10:30, no matter how good the DJ is, no matter how cool everything is, they're gone because there's a beer party somewhere. The kids were gone by 10 o'clock. We went from 200 kids down to 40 kids at 10, and then between 10 and 10:15, but then we were down to 20 and then 10 and kids. So yeah, it was kind of disappointing. I was hoping that would have, that they haven't had a school dance for a year plus, but yeah, it was a neat thing. It was about a 12-hour setup for us to get that all put together, and give or take, and then. Yeah, so I've got gear that's stacked because we basically had to throw it in vehicles and get out of there because we had about an hour to rip down on Saturday night.
So I got a question then, because you talked about the original idea with the pods and everything else, and they were optimistic that they were going to stay in those pods. Was there a lot of the chaperones, administration, whoever was kind of in charge of this idea, was there a lot of push? Like, did they even mess with it? They said, all right, screw it, they're not doing the pods.
They tried a little bit, and they wanted us to make an announcement, but Michael was right in the middle of a really good set, and I knew from seeing how he had things lined up that he had like a 6-song set that I really didn't want to interrupt at that point in time. So we were going to make that announcement. And then as the songs changed, then the kids started to space themselves out a little bit, and the principal's like, well, it's better than it was. We'll call it a win. Okay. So that was that. Probably the most interesting is that on a couple of our local schools have had COVID outbreaks here in the last week. So much so that one school basically completely shut down. But I think it was because of their prom and post prom, that there was a youngster who was sick but wouldn't miss their prom. Spread it to a large number of the attendees and such. So their school was pretty much shut down. Then another local school was supposed to have prom Saturday night. They pulled the plug on Friday because there were some cases within their school already, and they just said, we're not doing prom. So less than 24 hours out, their prom. I think Friday at about 4 or 5 o'clock is when they posted and said, prom's off. Sorry, thanks. That was the end of it. So then Friday night, then there's the discussion because that's only about 10 miles or 15 miles from the school we were doing. I guess a little farther than that, 20 miles. It was close enough, though, that the discussion was, well, is it safe enough for us to go ahead with prom? Because these teenagers still intermingle in these small communities. Let's go out and have, go to the Dairy Queen, whatever kids are doing. So it was an interesting time where some schools have lost prom this spring, and some schools are potentially lining up to lose graduation because if the kids, if there's active cases in the quarantine, that could take them right over the end of May graduation. So it's an interesting time. Okay. So let's jump into the show. MJ, it's looking like you are the one they're voting for. So your topic.
Wait. Before we get to his topic, though.
Yeah.
He's got to fill us in. You got to fill us in. Or is that part of your topic?
You always ruin it, Dan.
I didn't want you to start your topic
at the beginning of the show. All I said was, "Hey, when it comes to my turn, let me do my spiel. Don't interrupt. I'll get there."
I wasn't.
And he's jumped. You're pushing out of topic. Well, anyways, since you picked me to go first, I'm going first. So when John said we're gonna all each pick individual topics, I started thinking. I'm like, well, I could always do a show on Xbox controller rechargeable batteries. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Then I thought, well, maybe I could do a show on small Victorinox pocket knives. And I'm like, well, no, that wouldn't be any good either. Oh, I have one of those. And then I said, maybe I'm going to do a show all about envelope openers. And I said, no, Michael, stop picking up random things on your desk and come up with a topic. So I did. And my topic is shirt related. Because I told you it was the spiel. I want to talk about video DJing. Now, as I'm thinking about this, I don't think we've ever covered video DJing on this show, have we?
I don't think we've talked about it, no.
Not with us.
Yeah, and I don't think I've covered it on my show aside from answering maybe someone asked a question. Okay? So the shirt comes in because this song, we probably wouldn't know it if somebody wouldn't have made that silly video at the beginning of the people dancing to it. So videos have power. And at least here where I'm at, a lot of DJs who do what I do in the clubs and bars don't want to DJ videos. They don't like them. Mm-hmm. So I get gigs where places like, we want to do video at least on one screen, blah, blah, blah. I get calls. So I want to talk about video DJing, whether it be in your area or not, because this is also something I believe that every DJ has at least thought about, if they don't already do. It's not something that restricts them by the music they do, the area of the country they're from, their age, their DJ ability, nothing. This is something that every DJ could do if they make a choice. And I want to talk about the video DJing. What are you guys' thoughts? Like I said, that's how it impacts me, is that I get calls because I am willing to do video DJing, and a lot of guys do the clubs and stuff that I do don't want to go near it. Mm-hmm. So let's go from what do you guys think? And in the chat also, let's hear what from your area. Is that a common thing, an uncommon thing? Is it do people avoid it like the plague, or is it not a topic anywhere else?
We actually had Michael and I were talking about this because the problem was not video, and we used to do quite a bit of it. And the discussion we had is video, the video side of it, dying? Because it was at one time that with weddings or schools, they were like, yeah, we want to have video. We want to have that visual. And then it's declined to the point now this year that nobody had it. You could have offered it, hey, for free.
Right.
And they just didn't take it. So my immediate thing is I wonder if video DJing is gone down because they're watching video all the time, and now instead of watching video, is that doing it? Is it because there's, as you were seeing, there's fewer DJs who want to do it? Most of them would rather not do it. I'm just kind of at a loss. Is it the supply is not there? Is it the demand is not there? But we're not seeing as much as we used to.
Daniel?
So there is a club in my town that they have the big projector screen. and it's behind, and it's like over top of the DJ's head. There are of the 5 or 6 DJs that tend to rotate there. I know that 3 of them carry video and will occasionally do it, but it's also one of those things where they have something that displays if they don't, and then they've got video if they do, but it's not something that they're specifically targeted. It's almost like, do we feel like doing it tonight or don't we? And I don't see a lot of push for it. I know a couple of years ago, I happened to, at the school I was teaching, I happened to go to the prom. I wasn't DJing it, so I kind of helped out. I had a night at last second. It was last minute cancellation, so I ended up having the night off, and I decided to stop by and say hi. And the DJ was running video, and the kids would occasionally look up at it, but they were more kind of engrossed in themselves. That I think that's kind of taken away from it. And I think also, with a lot of that clientele, John, you talked about like they're constantly absorbing the video, but I think it's more like they're constantly absorbing their own video. And so what I mean by that is, they're doing TikToks of each other, or they're doing video of each other while they're dancing. And so that's what they're more in tune with, rather than seeing some production that the star put on and put out, for consumption.
Well, keep in mind that half of all songs streamed are done via YouTube video. So that's why I look at that and go, it could be that they're tired of them, because for a lot of people, that is their norm for taking in music is YouTube.
Right. Well, and that's what I mean. They're not getting it. And when they're engrossed in it, it becomes more of a social thing. So they're with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I'm consuming it for myself, I'm not going to make a video of myself being a dork. All right. And streaming myself. There are plenty of people who do. And MJ, if you see my videos, I know you're disagreeing with the dork part, but still, what I'm saying with that is, because I saw your face. It's okay.
I let that one slip. Yeah.
I know, it's okay.
Should have maybe jumped on that one.
You should have. But no, I think, when you're consuming it by yourself, you become more of a watcher. But when you're in a group type of setting, they've already seen it. So now it becomes something where the video becomes about them more than about what they're seeing. Now, I will say, I just
John,
recently.
Did you follow that?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's saying that they
write me a note later. Go ahead.
It's all about them being the star of the moment.
Right.
Yes. Thank you. I will say with my new booth, I was recently asked, what do I do with the screen in front? Am I now going to start doing music videos? Now, this was asked by a caterer that was at the wedding show I was at. And I said, no, that was not my intention to do music videos with it. But then I got thinking, it was like, and then I still decided no. But it was a thought that came to mind. But I don't see the demand. I don't see. Yeah. In my settings.
Yeah, some of the clubs here in the city have full-blown video walls. And you know what they put up on there most of the time? The people who buy the expensive bottle service, they'll say, hey, send us a picture of you. Or if someone they're celebrating a birthday, send us a picture of you. And they put up on the board, happy birthday with the picture of the person up there. And they use it that way to get the crowd connected more than anything. So there's a lot of things you can do with it. But like I said, it's just interesting to me how many DJs don't even want to touch it. I'm not talking DJs that would do it if someone would pay them. But I'm talking about a lot of DJs just don't want to touch it. And I've never really understood what the big difference is, because when I'm DJing videos, I literally have the exact same mindset. I don't look at the screen. I just DJ. I don't have to think about that. It's doing its own thing. So
MJ, we talked earlier about off air that you were saying you play clean edits and such because that's very important to you. David, I believe.
I saw that.
Yeah. How do you handle that situation? Because there are some of those videos that are a little racy. I mean, there was that one Huey Lewis one where he had his shirt down to there.
We don't drink to Huey Lewis, Dan, just to let you know. We only drink to the other one. We got to figure out something to do for Huey Lewis.
That is something else.
If you use something cool like I almost said it.
Is that like a half a sip?
Yeah, that's I'm just going to shake the bottle. If you use something cool like Virtual DJ, I have a button programmed on mine that if I don't like the video, I do it, and then an ambient overlay comes over that is synced to the beat. Mm-hmm. So I can always dance away from that if I want to. But I don't DJ those kind of dances, so.
That is a question that kind of came to mind with you know, if you're having to have that clean content, let's take it away from the school aspect and put it into any other place, you know, that once that clean, how much of it do you end up having to go to those ambient overlays? And if that's the case, then how much are you really doing a video?
See, that's the tough call, because I DJ at the casinos, and they both casinos want clean music. One of them hired me because I do video, and they don't care about the videos. They just, for some reason, they want clean music throughout the casino, and that's it. And so it's here or there. Like I said, a lot of corporate places will do that. So if you DJ at maybe like a trampoline park, or if you DJ at like one of the Dave and Buster's, I don't know if you guys have those in your area. I'm guessing they're nationwide. That's what they want for their family atmosphere. So it's a little different, and I would be guessing those places you could just tell them, hey, you're going to see this overlay more often than you probably want. But mine change up. I mean, I probably have, thanks to John Cawley, he's one of our people on our insiders, gave me a whole bunch of, for virtual, they have these things called shaders. And they're just different random things that happen, you know, whether it be shapes or people walking. But because the way shaders work within virtual, they go to the beat. So if they're doing something, it's doing it on beat. And it really looks like it's meant, you know, it's really in there. So there's those options, but like I said, it's just something that I don't think we've ever talked about on this show. And like I said, I may have answered someone's question on my show about it, but never really dove into it. And I thought, let's talk about it tonight. You know. So
let's build on this. The video, there's the using a podium like Dan's podium where the TV is built in. Then there's using if a person's using a couple of screens, if you've got a couple of LED screens up, and then of course there is the actual projector and screen. Which way, if a person is getting into video, do they go in this day and age? Because it sounds like projectors and screens are kind of going by the wayside.
With me, I don't have to worry about it, because the places I do it at, they hand me an HDMI cord and I plug in. In fact, the casino, it's really weird, because most of them, if you don't know, a lot of those places do it through Ethernet. And it takes the Ethernet back to their thing. And I have a box up there that I plug the other end of my HDMI into, and they run from Ethernet out. And one of the casinos that I spun at, the multimedia area was all the way across the casino. So I had to go in and delay my video or advance the video so that it matched with the music, because by the time it went all the way to their servers and back to the TVs for the entire room, it was about a half a second behind.
Wow.
No, in virtual, you can't adjust that. And I have had places that where, like I said, you go into their multimedia thing, which is on the other side of the building, and then it comes back to these TVs, and it's delayed, and you have to make the adjustments within virtual. So it just... it all depends. Like I said, that if you're getting into it, what do you do the most often? And I would say that maybe, I own a video projector that I have used before, but I've never used TVs out. Mm-hmm. So it kind of fits what you do. But if you own a projector, then you have to figure out where you're going to put it and all that kind of stuff.
The
so
space needed for it.
Yeah, but it's smaller to move around, but the TVs are going to be more precise, but there's more to move around with the TV. So I don't have an answer to that because, like I said, all the places I do don't do that. You two do a lot more mobile. What do you think, in your personal opinions, about that?
My gut says the TVs, even more than and only because I feel it's the least expensive way to get into it with a decent quality, and until you're established, until you really get the knack for what you need to do. I mean, you can pick two TVs up, 48 inches or whatever, especially if you do it around the holidays, you can probably get both of them for under $500.
Yeah.
And then you get a stand to put them on, and now you're talking, $800 maybe total. And so I think it's a little bit easier to get into from that standpoint. And they take up less space. Now you're not doing big, you're not seeing it from the other side of an auditorium, or the other side of a gym if if you're in a large hall of some sort. But to start, I think that would be the place to go. The booths are nice, don't get me wrong, but the two huge problems with the booth is, unless you're up, if you get a huge crowd on the floor, they're not seeing the video anyway.
Yeah.
And the booths,
True.
Even if you build your own, is still going to be a bigger investment than it's set up with two TVs and on a tripod.
It almost becomes like a really, really intelligent light at that point.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. Yeah. Just in effect.
I want to answer the question in the chat real quick, and then John, you give me your opinion. The guy asked, do you use YouTube music videos? As a DJ, I DJ videos, and that means intros and outros. So everything I DJ has an intro and an outro. I just don't grab the album cut of anything ever, whether it's a song or a video. It's built for DJing, so that's my thing. I'm not saying I don't have YouTube videos in my library, because I do, because there are certain ones that videos just absolutely weren't made for.
Yeah.
I have also taken those videos and did what I want to with them and mixed other ones, like my Bruno Mars 24K is not the 24K video. I took his performance on Saturday Night Live and put it to the music and made my own video of it to be unique. So I do things on all those levels, but I never take a video that as is, because there's really nothing that I can do with a plain video that's not a mixed. It has intros, outros, beats, and stuff. So, John, your opinion? TVs, monitors, old-fashioned Victrolas?
Yeah, Jeremy Lanby does a lot of high schools, and they've gone to pretty much, unless they're doing a grand march where they're needing to put it up on a huge screen, and then they'll go to projectors. Otherwise, he's gone to TVs for the dances, and he'll have monitors, around the dance floor, 4, maybe 6, and he'll go that route. When we've done, the last time we were doing video, we were using projectors. That's what we had. But I'm trying to think goodness, it's been, it was easily into early 2019, probably the last time we did anything with music video. So the fall of 2019 with Homecoming, I don't think we did any music video. It's been just a long time.
I also have done, and this can go into the video DJ, is that running like a camera like I have here, like a Logitech webcam, and point it at the audience. And that will be sometimes if I play, depending on, like I told you about those ambient things, sometimes I can kick the camera on pointing at them, and that can be half their fun, I know, like I said, I do a lot with it. I do it somebody's birthday. I usually put it in and text up on the thing, happy birthday so-and-so, and then they run over there with their friends and get a picture with their name and stuff up on the screen. And I always tell the place that I'm DJing at, I'm like, look in the corner. I made sure I put your logo there so that when these people get those pictures, it's your logo. And it's, oh, thank you. So there's a lot of selling points with it if you do it right. But I don't know. I have fun with it. I don't, But when it comes to like actual mixing days when I'm mixing, my mindset is exactly the same as I do music. Video does all the rest. It does its own transitions, everything. So there we are. We did a whole show on it. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in. And next, I'm sorry, you've got 2 more topics.
2 more topics.
No.
Did I get you with a good one? Was it good enough for the shirt, Dan?
It was.
That's
and
about as best
shirt
I
makes
could.
sense.
There's the tie-in.
So next time when we do something like this, you got to let me know that the shirt is part of your topic. I thought maybe the shirt had related to the fact that we were picking topics, and you had to explain your shirt, not that it was tied to your question.
Oh, of course it's going to be about
I was
me.
going to say, it's going to always be tied to this show in one way, shape, or form.
Actually, this is about Howie's show that's on after it. That's why I wore it, because of Howie's show that's on afterward.
Yeah. Pre-promotion. Good job.
Jacques, the screen size. I have got a what are they, a 9... No, it must be a 6 by... Is it a 6 by 8? Size-wise?
I usually just set up my Chromebook, and that's
I think,
what people...
Actually, I think they got to be about 9 foot wide. It must be a 6 by 9. There we go. It's something to that effect. So they're 12-foot diagonal is what that particular screen. That's kind of a standard size. I have a small one that is a 6-foot diagonal. That's a little pop-up one that is rear projection also, which is really kind of cool. Half the time when we ran videos, if we had a wall that was light colored, tan, even if it's got some smoke detectors on it, we were shooting the videos for some school dances right off the walls. It just worked. And then
if you're doing tents, that's another thing. So I did last year. While I don't do music videos, what I will do is create a video that I use for like first dance or parent dances, full of just photos with that and tie it to the song. So basically a specialized music video, if you will. I was in a tent last year. I had 2 screens and they were doing a monogram, and I got, there's the big wall right there. So basically it was the coolest angle from my standpoint, because so they could see the screens on either side. And then across from me was where the monogram was shot. So I was just like, first dance, let's slide over to the music video. And so now the music video is up on that wall as well as the screen. So it was like, and the bride and groom didn't know that was going to happen. It was like a perfect white space.
Nice.
There was a club that here in the city that used to have in the summer, they had an outdoor deck, and then during the colder months they would put a tent up, and the DJ would project against the ceiling of the tent because it was small, and he would up against the ceiling of the tent, and there was all kinds of stuff going on, which kind of made it like more lights and stuff. So it was more ambient. It wasn't music videos, but you can get creative with it if you want.
Oh yeah, and yeah, the monograms is also a big thing that David just mentioned. So yeah, projectors could be kind of their own show. Just in themselves of how to use them beyond video.
And with Jacques' question, if he's referring more to TVs, and he says screens, you went to projectors. I immediately thought TVs. My ones that I put up on the quad pods are 48 inches. The one I built into my booth, because of how I wanted my booth size, I went up to 58 inches. So I would say any more, you definitely want to be in that 55 to 60 range if you're doing TVs.
Yeah.
Whether you're putting them up on like the quad pod stuff or on the totems, you want something large like that. When I got my 48s, like 60, 65s was going to be pricey. So I that's why I went with 48s at the time.
Yeah, and 65 now has become the 48.
Yeah.
Price wise, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent. Dan, you
It's
want to
the
go?
oldest to youngest, so who's next?
Oh, well,
John's next.
That would be me. Okay, so my topic is I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on when you're going to buy new gear. That at some point in time in our businesses, we need to be buying new gear. And is it something that you see it's an impulse buy and you pull the trigger and you worry about paying for it later? Is it something where you save the money to make that purchase and do the Dave Ramsey thing and you put that 50 cents in the bucket and then once there's enough you buy that? Really, there's a lot of different philosophies. If you see something and you're like, hey, I want to add it to my business, do you go and pre-sell? How have you handled making gear purchases in the past?
You want to start, MJ?
I don't want to give an answer first because I just want to say what I was laughing about. The fact that I've had this exact same conversation about 20 times in the past month with people. Because it's right now is that, people are getting back into it, actually making money again. So you're thinking about, okay, I have expendable cash that wasn't there before. So
yeah, exactly.
I just have, for me, I have so many different scenarios. Some of them could be the newest equipment because, maybe Denon comes out with something, gives me a break on a brand new piece of equipment, and because I DJ for them, I want the newest thing. And, it could be something broke, and I have to spend whatever I have to get something, or it could be saving up. I don't, for me, it's kind of random. Right now, I'm at the point where I think I need to get something new. I have my eye on, I talked about this on my show last Wednesday, the Rain 1 and the Pioneer 1000 SRT. But I decided right now, and this could be what you guys also bring into it too, what's your thoughts, is that I think since I don't need anything right now, I'm going to hold off, use what I have, and see what comes out between now and the DJ Expo in the fall. And at that point, decide if I'm going to go a direction. After I get the summer under me, maybe a few gigs, etc., so on and so forth. So I don't have a direct answer. I'm all over the place on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna agree with MJ in the first aspect of there's certain things that you got to replace. So I think the replacements is completely let's almost throw that out the door, because when something breaks and it's a replacement, you got So, but I do think it's important to pre-plan. So one of the things that I've done, maybe not the Dave Ramsey thing, but probably similar idea, is that I keep, every time I do an event, I split the money. And a portion goes into my business account and a portion goes into my personal account, so that my business account continues to build. And so if I find something that breaks, or if I break it or it breaks, I'm covered. Like I don't even have to really think about it. It's the money's there and it's good to go. What ends up happening a lot of times for me is, and I'll use when the Evolve 50s came out. As far as I knew, though, when it came to budgeting for the year, that was not even on anybody's radar that wasn't in the know. Okay, obviously the people that were close to my knew. But the outside world, no clue. So by the time that started creating enough buzz that we heard about it and then we found out about it, if I had waited to save starting at that point, I probably would not have been able to get the starter deal that was available.
Yeah, true.
You know, the price that I paid on them was insane compared to what they are now, because it was like, reveal special, whatever you want to call it. So I think it's important for you to pre-save so that when something like that happens, something that fits or fixes a problem that you didn't really know you had until you saw the solution, you don't have to think about it. It became your answer before you even got into it. Now, maybe from that point you start narrowing down and you go, okay, now I know there's a solution. Oh, there's 3 other companies, and now I decide between that. But you go from there. I try to hold off on new gear, especially like new controllers and things like that, just because sometimes it's flashiness that catches me more than functionality that I would use. And so I try to research, and this is one thing, I research things to death, to the point
yes,
that because I don't want to regret my decision. So if it's something that I don't need right away, I will research so that I don't have that regret. And that's how I go about making my new gear purchases. And then sometimes I just kind of say, oh, heck with it, let's give it a shot. So for example, Danny Max, we know him with the Max, DJ consoles that he has, the Infinity and the Infinity Extra Large. He caught my eye because of those, but I didn't buy those because they didn't quite fit what I'm looking for. But when I was checking out his stuff, I ordered the DSLR photo booth because I saw some of his products. Again, was not something I was budgeting for, but it fit a fix that I wasn't happy with my current photo booth with. So it was one of those things. Again, that's how I go about it. That was a roundabout way, I think. That was the only question you asked, right? Or did you ask like
pretty
4
much?
of them?
Pretty much, yeah. That was the idea, and just to get the thought process behind it. This is an area I've done it all sorts of ways, and and I've done the impulse buy. That, oh my gosh, I know we can sell this, and I purchased it, put it on a credit card, and then found out it didn't sell. How many chocolate fountains I've got back there that didn't
running.
Yeah, exactly. They've been running for 15 years, and by God, they still haven't gone. They're not rented out. But there have been
new addition to the studio, chocolate fountain.
Yeah, chocolate fountain. They just sit there, and after a while, the chocolate does get hard. It's really weird. Again, it dries out. It's a little sludgy. But the dogs like it. Wait, no, the dogs. That's bad for them. So I've done it a variety of different ways, and it's really been an area that I've been trying in the last number of years when it's come to making purchases, is to put that money aside, because as Dan, you pointed out, is that there's things that pop up, even though we know about things that are happening. Sometimes, having $2,500 sitting to buy a new pair of speakers, even if we knew it was coming 2 months out, there's no way you're going to be able to put $100 a show aside, type of thing for that. So that's been actually something now from 2020, as we were going through and looking at getting into 2021, is that okay? So what we've had is, kind of holding on to the money, money a little bit and keeping things back. So when we get to the point where we're ready to purchase, that there's cash available. So a person's not putting it on a credit card, because I think that's probably the biggest lesson I think a lot of us are going to take out of 2020, is that having that credit card debt and then hitting the point where all of a sudden the paychecks just went, and that was the end of it, was tough for a lot of people. So I've tried to make that idea, going away from the pre-selling or buying something and then selling it. Actually going towards, if I have an idea of, like, I want to add that photo booth, if I were going to be adding another one over my selfie booth, I'd start pitching it and say, hey, are you interested in this? Is this what I've got? And try to see if I could make a few sales before actually pulling the trigger. And if I have to go and hire someone to cover the 3 or 4 shows that I booked, I'd rather pay someone a little extra money, what I was going to charge for it, plus a little to get someone else to handle it, than for me to make a $2,000 investment that's going to be sitting here in 6 months, because I just couldn't get enough business for it. So it's been And it's probably a maturity thing that you're making these decisions and realizing that, yeah, I can sell some things, but even a good salesman sometimes can't sell that ice cube to the
Eskimo.
Exactly.
To the person from Minnesota.
To the person from northern Minnesota. Actually, I was going to say to the person from Bemidji, but I'm thinking that not everyone will get the reference that Ben so to the guy from Bemidji. But yeah, yes, Rob and I, the chocolate to the dogs is a bad idea, but I know our little dog used to just absolutely love eating chocolate. He'd go eat it, and he'd go onto the Christmas tree and rip open packages the first year that we had it. And yeah, he's just a naughty little puppy.
I say, the one thing that I've always struggled with is that pre-selling. Like, I know that's one of the things that you're supposed to do. Like, you're supposed to try and pre-sell it to make sure you've got the demand for it, to make sure that it's there. But I often found that I had a hard time with that, and that's part of the reason why I've not ever picked up like the dancing on the cloud effect.
Yeah.
I never picked up an insert favorite cliche thing that caught on for like 3 years and then dwindled. Not to say you can't sell that. I'm sure there's plenty of guys and DJs out there who are doing phenomenal with that. Don't get me wrong. But I just feel that for me, it was always kind of a struggle to try and sell something that I didn't have personally, because I also wanted to make sure that before I was ready to convince Susie that she wanted to buy it, it was something that I knew I could do and could operate and make work.
Right.
And so I had a different philosophy, but in the same respect, I also knew I would watch some other DJs and see what they would do with it and go, not me. Like, too much hassle, not me.
And that's the exact path, same thought process of why I needed to buy it first, because I needed to be able to do it and speak confidently about it and be knowledgeable about product, and having some photos of from a local venue. So that's where we'd buy it and go out and run it a couple of times, get the pictures, and then be promoting it and do this, do that, and then you sell it 4 times, and then it sits. So we don't have the cloud, don't do the cloud thing. We didn't do, there was a really cool light show that we purchased at one time that I thought was going to go crazy. It ran at 2 schools, and I held onto it for like 10 or 15 years and then sold the silly thing for like $20. It's just.
And how much thought did you put into those Pioneer speakers?
I won them.
So that would be.
And you've used them how many times?
They're great backups.
And how many times have you moved them?
Once.
I moved them once.
Okay, twice. Once to my house, and then once when I moved.
Moved to the new. I'm busting on you.
I know. But again, that's not an impulse buy.
Right.
That was an impulse win.
Yeah, exactly.
I threw my card in, and they pulled it out.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, folks. I thought that would have been funnier than that, but Dan took me way too serious, but that's okay.
I thought you were trying. It's okay.
Speaking of things about saving money for gear, I've always kept my PayPal as for that. So I get paid when I DJ, teach DJ classes and different things like that from PayPal, and I kind of leave that alone and let stuff stack there, and that's my money I spend on DJ equipment. So that's totally separate from my gig stuff, totally separate from everything. And if I need something, it's just sitting there randomly. So you kind of have to sometimes be creative for that. So I just want to let you know, it's not the penny in the jar, but it's just my way of, it's more of a hassle to get to it, so I don't touch it.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I can't just whip out. They actually did give me a PayPal card. They have them that you can spend from. I did not activate it just for that purpose. So I don't want to be tempted. I want it to be difficult. So when I need it, I'm going to make that move. But this year, I mean, oh my gosh, what a year for rethinking that whole thing, John. Good question. Very good question.
And one of the things that you guys are going to find out or hear about, and talking to Jimmy earlier, because he's been talking to, I think he talked to somebody from NLFX on the availability of some of the gear, and there's some things that aren't going to be available till June. They've been back ordered for a period of time. You're going to find there's going to be a few things filled in early June, and then we're going to get into the lull. We're into some of the pandemic type lull, and then we're going to get into to another gear lull here later in the year, and that's going to probably hit us around the time of DJ Expo, where you're going to have, hey, I need something for homecoming season because schools are back in. Great. If you're not ordering it in June, you're probably not going to get it. It's just you may not see it till October. So just to be
I
aware.
heard that about house appliances too. They were saying, oh, not so much now, but like over the winter, if you want a refrigerator, expect to wait weeks for it, weeks and weeks.
Well, and there's from talking to an appliance person, they're caught up a little bit, and then they're seeing another big dip coming.
Another dip coming.
And part of that is because of the pieces they need are now not available. So they had pieces that they could assemble, last year's model, and now they want to do the next round, and they can't. So.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you need gear, and you know you're going to need gear, it's best to put it on the list now, because it may be. I know a couple of speaker manufacturers out there do not have anything really per se for their speaker line. So
I wonder if Expo, if there's anything that comes out new, if we'll also run into that, like the NAMM thing, not available till mid-March or mid-May.
It certainly could be, and I'm really wondering how much is going to be able to be new. We may see prototypes under glass. That could be the Expo 2021 experience. Oh, look, there's something under glass. Oh, look, there's something else under glass.
Something else under glass, yeah.
Here, put these gloves on before you touch anything.
No, you can't touch them. You can't touch it. And that one is under glass, but it looks suspiciously like cardboard and color crayons.
Yeah. Oh, I guarantee that it comes to that point, there's going to be demo stuff that doesn't work or it just lights up.
Well, that's why at NAMM some of the things were under glass, because they were a prototype that was just a complete mock-up. There wasn't even electronics inside it, and they didn't want anyone to be able to go and touch it for fear of breaking it, or
touch the button and the button rolls across
to pick it up. I mean, it was just a shell. So if you pick it up, you'd be like, "Wow, this," and it was a turntable specifically that we talked about there. There was nothing to it. I mean, it was like, it's just a shell.
Wow.
Okay, Dan. Sorry,
we even have time for mine, I guess. Well, I'll make it quick. So my topic tonight is knowing that it's hard for us to get around and meet with a lot of different people. So my thought was, if you had to create an order of the people to network with, right, other than other DJs, all right, if you had to make an order of people to network with to try and get yourself more events, where would you place your first priority, your second priority, third priority, etc.?
First would be hot chicks. Second would be average chicks, and then third would be desperate chicks, and then
MJ,
fourth would be the rest of them that have no interest in me. So we're gonna just skip me and go on to somebody else.
How can you have the fourth category, which is really the first three?
Exactly.
Dan, give me the actual question of the topic again, because I'm putting them into the video description so that people will be able to find it later.
So with limited, okay, how to put it concisely?
Yeah.
Order of priority for spending time networking.
I'm gonna do mine real quick because mine's totally separate from you guys. It's gonna continue exactly the same. Getting out, talking, hanging out with other DJs, meeting managers, owners. Just that it's gonna be the same thing pretty much, because that's DJs for me. So.
And my thought is that networking, if it is somebody I like, that's going to be priority number one. If it's somebody I like, if it's not somebody I like, and if it's not going to lead to financial gain or benefit for them and myself, it's just there's a line. I'm not going to waste time anymore chasing dead leads to some extent. I mean, life's too short. If we're not going to hit something off, or we're not going to connect in a quick way or in a way that makes us say, hey, there's something here. It's like there's enough other things to do in life. So good topic though, because at one time it would have been, I had that list of 20 different venues, and I wanted to go and network and be the person for each and every one. So it was like go and work that list and do those things, and you'd get done and you had the 2 that liked you. That was it. And you'd waste so much time on the other 18 and the 2 that liked you. It's that whole concept of really focusing would have been great to know that 30 years ago.
And one of the things that I think one of the reasons why this came to mind was, I started thinking about exactly like you said, John, like there are 20 different venues, and there's some places that I really like and some places I don't. And so I definitely don't want to mess with the ones I don't, but in the same respect, where are you going to get the most referral money? I feel is like venues.
Yeah.
However, you've got photographers who you really want to make that good connection with and you want to be strong with, because they're the ones who are giving you the footage, the photos, the tags. I mean, I have a bunch of venues that I have on Facebook. If I see any photos from them, it's usually like before anything started.
Yep.
Usually a shot of the ceremony, a shot of the dinner area, and maybe the couple. I'm not included in any of those.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Photographers, videographers, I'm tagged in every single one. There's almost always at least one shot. If it's not of me, it's of the setup, or it's of the party, of like people dancing and having a great time. And so it's like, I want to make sure I'm spending time with that, because I feel like I get more publicity and more promotion, especially in a world of social media, from them. But I also feel like I get the strongest connection, and venues are the first ones that are booked. And so I'm going to get the earliest leads from venues. So I there's pros and cons to all. So that's why I was curious as to where you might place vendors priority. Let's assume for a second you like them. Obviously you don't, the ones you don't like, who cares? But yeah.
See, in the venue was I suppose if I look at it today, my priority or the DJs. I network with more DJs. Photographers have gone away as far as I'm concerned on my list. Not because I don't appreciate what they do in different things, is that I've gone through 2 or 3 years where I haven't seen the same photographer probably in 5 years. It's been a different person each time, and many times it's that family friend, or a semi-pro photographer who's part of the family, or they're gone. The number of weddings where they're going over, and it's like, yeah, we got to stage a first dance shot because I'm leaving in 10 minutes. That doesn't do me a bit of good, and that's probably 3/4 or more of my weddings. They're gone, or they're there until the end of the spotlight dances, then they're gone. I think I've had one photographer probably in the last 5 years, maybe 2, that have been there at least through half of the dance. It's just.
I wonder if that's a more, well, that last part where you said about half the dance. I will say that there's like a majority of them, and I get it. Like how many photos can you have of the crowd, of the big crowd dance? And to stay around till they get sloppy drunk, or to stay for 3 hours of just shooting people dancing. I get that. But I personally haven't seen people leaving before, or even having to stage stuff because they're going to be leaving that early.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that you run into that.
And it probably has something to do with our day starting, that they're taking pictures in the morning, and then there's a 4 o'clock ceremony, 6 o'clock the meal is going on, and the dance is supposed to go till midnight or so, or, so they've been taking pictures since 10 a.m. And now we're getting to be, 7, dance will start at 8 o'clock and it's 7. And they were like, yeah, this is, that's my 9 hour day. I'm out the door. So yeah, photographer's definitely gone down the list. Venues for this year, I checked, and there's only one venue that I have worked at in the last few years that has the same manager. Every other venue has new people that I've worked at. It's just the way, a couple of them sold, a couple of them, it was a hired hand or a hired person that was managing it, and those people had a rollover. So that's photographers, videographers, and that are pretty much off the board. And it's other DJs that I know in the area that we share leads back and forth. So
we have, because of the strong number of barn venues that we have, and those which are typically, it's a rental space, to a lot of them. So they don't really there's not a lot of turnover because they don't really have a manager to handle it. It's not like your banquet halls where, that are attached to a hotel where they've got a person that's hired to handle the weddings because they don't own it. I haven't seen that. I see rollover big time in the banquet halls, not so much in the private venues.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good topics. good discussion.
I just want to make jokes about stuff, but I won't. I don't know. It was very good. Like I agree with you, John. For those of you who tune in every week, thank you so from the beginning. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of this. Anybody who watches it on demand, thank you. It's tough coming up with topics every week. It really is. Because go ahead, John. Ask me what's going to be on Wednesday night's show.
Well, the Wednesday night is going to be a great show because MJ is going to show us more fun things that you can do with your computer to entertain a crowd.
Okay, thank you, John, for coming up with my topic for Wednesday. Appreciate that. No, because it is. I mean, and we want to be educational too. Because there's a lot of DJs out there who put out videos, and I'm not going to name them by names, but I'm looking you in the eye. You know who you are. That you don't care about teaching people. You just want to make money at this. We want to help people. That's our driving force is helping people. So if you guys have topics, definitely hit John, Dan, myself up with topics and say, hey, can you do a topic a night on this? Can you answer this question more in depth on your show other than me just typing something in the chat? So, and we appreciate that more than you can believe, because I can honestly tell you that most of my shows come from people asking me questions, and I go, that'd make for a great show.
Exactly. Yep. There have been some great topic ideas shared. And the State of Zen, seriously, I'm in Minnesota. The sun barely comes up here now. It's starting to actually work its way here in the northern climate. So
I think he's talking because there's a tin of, almost every once in a while you have a tin of red on you. Oh. Not. So I think that's what he was thinking.
Oh, well, yeah. It's
maybe right about there. So there's something that's kind of reflecting. Oh. You're not red, but just more pink than normal.
Is this better?
Yes, but for all different reasons.
Yeah. So, but actually, the sun is finally coming up, and just being outside for a little bit is where all of a sudden it will hit. So, and it was this past weekend we were actually outside doing some things. So, yay! But yeah, it's been so long. I haven't seen it.
Man, Jacques is. I missed it. He's checking in from South Africa.
Yeah, and it's 4 a.m.
Dude, that's dedication.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
very much.
Jacques,
maybe he just didn't go to bed. But either way,
I'm always up to 4 a.m. Does that mean anything?
Yeah, it means that you should be in South Africa. That's where they.
I'm on multiple time zones on my own.
Yeah, you're the.
I love it when I have a friend hits me up at like 10 o'clock at night. Hey, you still up? It's like quit working yet.
It's like good morning.
I plug my phone in and don't look at it after 8. Like
wow.
9:30 or so.
I do the same thing, but 8 a.m. No.
Yeah. Let's see. Tomorrow night, there's going to be a special presentation of a National Speaker Association, excuse me, the other way around. They put together a kind of a reignite, recharge, and restart your business presentation that they did in Kansas City a couple of weeks ago. And we've got the footage from that event. It's actually kind of a cool little thing. It's like a series of TED Talk type of shows. That's going to be going on tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern, and it'll be right here on our DJNTV channels and such on the different Facebook pages. Then coming up at 10 o'clock Eastern, then you will have Brian and Jay coming back and doing a little bit of a music show. And then MJ's Wednesday. And then that wraps up our week of programming.
Nice.
Yeah, should be. I was listening to some of the seminars because usually I've previewed this. I've been at a convention and heard the seminars. So this was the first. There's some fun stuff there. So it should be a good evening to catch it live or to catch it in a replay on YouTube.
Also, I want to throw this in here just as a thought. As we go back into like the summer season and stuff, which John and all of us have talked about doing multiple person like DJ classes and different things within the Insiders area. If you guys are interested in something special like that, hit John up and let him know like what you want to do. I asked somebody asked me recently about shadowing me when I DJ. That could be a special night where I just do some stuff and then you stop me mid-mix and go, how did you do that? And we could talk about it. So again, use your imagination on this and help us kind of find out what you help us fine-tune this. Because we're always willing to try new things, and I think the stuff with the Speaker Association, I think that's an awesome way to just keep things fresh and keep things going. And I thank John for all the work he does. He puts in a lot of hours that makes, helping my dreams of having my own show and stuff come true. So I thank him very much. Excellent. And Dan for always guessing my shirt and messing up my gag.
Well, everyone's
he's smart. I mean, that's what it is. He's
everyone's
smart.
I
didn't guess it this week.
It was very vague. It just became this.
Well, if you had an idea of your topic, that's great. But beyond that,
yeah.
And coming up next out at DJNTV.com/chill, Howie is going to be out there, and he's having Tony Fernandez join him. And they're going to be talking the difference between active and passive speakers, applications where one might work better than the other. They're going to get into it. Now, these are two guys who are kind of technically savvy when it comes to those things. So it'll be a great time. DJNTV.com/chill. Jump out to the Zoom room. Shut your camera off. Shut your mic off. Let them do the show. And then when it's done, that's the time to pick their brain. And there's going to be a lot of great information there. And that video will go up later this week on the DJNTV on our YouTube page and such. So you guys will get to see it if you don't catch it in its live recording tonight.
And while it's technical, it'll be stuff you understand.
Yeah, exactly. They'll break it down for you, because Howie helped me do some programming and some fixing of my iPad because there was a firmware update. He was like on the phone with me and helped walk me through it and such, and he knows way more about that than I do, and he was just patiently walking me through so nicely. He saved me so much. Yay. So thank you, Howie.
Howie's a good guy like that.
All right, we got to go because they're up next.
Oh, man, it happened so fast tonight. Oh, my goodness. But of course, as we've said multiple times, thank you very much for taking time out of your Monday night to join us. It was a pleasure coming up with some stuff and just kind of throwing it at these guys and them throwing it the same to us as well. And those of you that chimed in on the chat, thank you. That is what this show is all about, is this chat, this hangout, and this is learn from each other. That's what we do. So thank you very much for taking your time. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you next time.